Plaintiff Heidi I says she was sad for the defendant when her boyfriend broke up with her. But Heidi says she then became glad because she realized she had her bar buddy back. Heidi says the defendant is reckless with her money, often leaving huge tips for the bartenders. But she's suing her former friend today because the defendant's pit bull attacked her basset hound, causing serious injury. Defendant Coral Ferentz says she and Heidi hung out often at the bars, but Heidi was a belligerent drunk. Coral says she felt really bad this incident with Heidi's dog happened, but unfortunately, she has no idea how it happened.
Start with you.
Coral and I have known each other since high school. We didn't really hang out until summer 2014 when we could go out to the bar and party and hang out. August of that year, her boyfriend broke up with her. She called me crying hysterically. I go over there to comfort her and support her. And, you know, we really became closer friends at that point. And I felt bad for her, but at the same time, I was kind of excited because I got my bar buddy back. And so I suggested to her, you know, let's go out. Let's have a good time. Let's get your mind off it. And we did, and everything was great until she started kind of acting different. She wanted to go out more and more, even on the weekdays. And
that's not true.
She started having fun, so yeah. She wanted more fun.
Okay, but we were at the bar one time, and, you know, I saw her, she was flirting with a bartender, and, you know, that's fine, okay, she's getting over her breakup, but then I see her buy a beer and lay down a $25 tip, and I'm like, that's crazy. So I go over to her, I'm like, what?
This the same bartender she hit on?
Yes. And
what's crazy about it? She's trying to get with him.
Well, well, you know, I go.
She said, there's more where that came from.
That's right. There you go.
Well, there was. I mean, I go over there and I ask her, what are you doing? Like, and she's like, no, it's fine. I like him. He's cute. I got this. Leave me alone. And so, like, at that point, I back off because, I mean, it's her. She's a grown woman.
She knew what she was doing?
Yeah, she can handle her own money. But, you know, I kept an eye on her to keep her safe. You know, we're at a bar. But she kept just laying down this money for this guy. And I'm like, by the end of the night, I was like, we got to go before you spend your whole paycheck in this bar in one night. And that wasn't the only time that she's done.
Did they ever start dating?
No. Oh. He had a girlfriend. He was unavailable. He was just doing his job.
You tell her that until he got that money out of her.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, that wasn't the only time that this has happened. She's always, every time we go out, she's always careless with her money. And like at that point, ever since the first time, it's not my place to tell her what to do with her money. I just try to keep an eye out for her.
But does she deal with her basic responsibilities?
As far as I knew at that point. I felt bad for her, but at the same time, I was kind of excited because I got my bar buddy back. And so I suggested to her, you know, let's go out. Let's have a good time. Let's get your mind off it.
Plaintiff Heidi I is suing her former friend, and she claims Heidi is a belligerent drunk who gets violent when she drinks.
Let me hear from you. Give me some background.
So, like she said, I knew her in high school. We met through a mutual friend.
Well, I'll take a couple dollars. I'm not available either. You say you don't have to be available. You just go ahead, though.
But it wasn't until 2014 that we started going out more and more and became closer friends. She was always nice to hang out with. We could keep up with each other. It's just when she drank too much that she would get a little bit belligerent, kind of irresponsible. There was one time that she fell down because she was just not very stable on her feet at that point.
Drunk?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you do at the bars.
Really? You fall out drunk at the bar?
You get drunk.
That's what you do.
You have fun.
Now speak for yourself. Everybody don't fall out drunk at bars. Go ahead.
But, you know, a girl came up to her, tried to help her up, and she just kind of pushed her away. She's like, no, I got this. I got myself. I don't need your help. Started kind of getting in her face, kind of causing a scene till, like, bouncers were coming over, and I'm trying to pull her away. Like, you don't want to start something right now. We don't want to get kicked out. And that's just how she is when she drinks too much. She gets very violent, very physical, and you have to pull her away.
Anyhow, what's your lawsuit regarding the vet bill for? What happened here?
Okay, October 29th, I was talking on the phone with Coral earlier in the day, and I was explaining to her how I had plans later that night, but my dog was sick, so I was gonna have to cancel my reservations and everything. So she had offered to dog sit for me, and I accepted because I wanted to go out. And so later that night around 8 o'clock, she comes over, but she brought her pit bull with. And normally, like, he's come over before the pit bull has, and it's been okay. I've been comfortable with that while I'm there. But she didn't ask me, and I wasn't gonna be there. I was gonna leave, and I told her, I was like, I'm not really that comfortable leaving you alone with your dog here and my dog's sick. And basically she assured me, I can handle my dog. He'll be locked up outside in the backyard. We'll keep him separated. Everything will be fine. So she's my friend. I trusted her to handle the situation and be responsible with it. And so I left. About an hour later, I get a call saying my dog's bleeding. I got to come home. And so, I'm worried. I rush home, rush inside, see my dog has big holes in her neck.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so, I asked.
What type of dog?
I have a Basset Hound. And so I asked her what happened, and she's like, I didn't see anything. And so at that point, I was just more worried about my dog. And so I grab her, and I take her to the emergency animal hospital because it's late at night. And she ended up having 3 lacerations in her neck. Her jaw was broken, and she was missing one of her canine teeth. I have pictures here of my dog and all her surgeries. She had to have multiple surgeries.
Let's see it.
I had to leave her there at the animal hospital overnight. I had to pay a $341 deposit that night, and then I had to pay more in the morning when I went to go pick her up. I have the medical record from the vet as well, stating what was done to her as far as surgeries and whatnot. After I got done with the vet that night, I went home expecting Coral to be gone, but when I got there, she was still there. And at that point, I was so frustrated and irritated and basically livid, and I go inside and I told her she's got to go. She has to leave my property, take her dog with her, get out of here. And she was just apologizing profusely. She would say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. I'll pay you anything the vet costs. And I was like, well, I had to pay $341 tonight, and I need that money for my student loans. So she went and got $300 that night and gave it to me. And then I told her, after everything is done with and all my dog's vet bills are collected and done, I will let you know how much. And then she left.
You have the bill?
Yes.
And
This is the bill, and then this is the medical record.
she better be glad you didn't come home drunk that night as usual. Let's see. That dog might have been in trouble. Her dog. Better be glad you didn't come home drunk that night as usual. Let's see. That dog might have been in trouble. Her dog.
Plaintiff Heidi I. is suing her former friend, and she claims Heidi is a belligerent drunk who gets violent when she drinks.
Ma'am, what do you say to this?
I had reassured Heidi that I was going to keep my dog tied up, and that's what I did after she left to go out for her plans. I tied up my dog and everything was fine. I let her dog out, and normally her dog lets me know when she's ready to come in. And when I went to go check on her about 10 minutes later, I opened the door and she ran inside. Everything seemed fine. I didn't really notice anything was wrong until I bent down to kind of like pet her and be affectionate towards her. And that's when I noticed that she was bleeding. I had called Heidi right away, and as I was doing that, I went to go look out my back window to make sure my dog was okay, because I didn't know if a stray animal had gotten into the backyard somehow. And I noticed that's when my dog had gotten off the leash. Heidi came home in a fury. She was irate. She busted through the door and was just getting in my face. And, she was just very angry, and I apologized. I felt so bad. It's not like I meant for this to happen. And I told her, I went out and got the money for her, brought it back, and I said, if I can, I will definitely pay you back. And I asked her how much the vet bills were, and she didn't know at that time until the surgeries were over. And then in November of 2014, she had called me to let me know how much the cost was, and she said that I owed her $973. Unfortunately, at the end of April, I lost my job, and there's not much I can do about that. I live by myself.
What are you doing now?
I currently work for a call center.
Okay.
For an insurance
you are working
company.
again. You say you live by yourself?
I did, and then I had to move because the financial strain was just too much.
You should have gone back up to that bar, tell that man to give you all them tips back. You're tipping that man, and
I didn't give him
now
that
you
much.
broke, huh?
I didn't give him that much money.
She did. It was like over $100.
That's a lie.
Yeah, and didn't get anything but a drink. All right, if you're going to pay, never mind. Let me just stop. Let me talk about this vet bill. All right, so your only defense is you don't have a job or you lost your job. And now you have one. That's the good news. So you can pay her the balance because you were negligent. Negligent in the sense that you had a duty to keep your dog restrained. Judgment for the plaintiff, $973 for you. Good luck to you guys.
I would just like to say that I do want to be your friend again. And, sorry. I don't want this to come between us. And let's go to the bar.
Okay. Yeah, I want to be friends too. I miss the friendship. I mean, that was the most important thing that got lost. Hopefully we can move past this though and kind of start back where we began.
Okay.
Okay.
Give me a hug.
Okay.